Total war is a term developed by the Nazis after their defeat at Stalingrad, seen as Hitler's greatest blunder during the war. The Nazi high command demanded now totaler Krieg because of desperation, saying they need to shift the entire economy, society, and civilian life to support the military. Famously, they called for an absolute mobilization of all non-essential civilian resources to the front lines. This had little children signing up to fight and defend Berlin. It was awful. It also means, of course, that the Nazi war machine would attack civilian targets. There were no such thing, actually, anymore. All targets were on the table. They'd go after everything, burn everything to the ground, do everything that they possibly could in order to strike deep inside of the heart of the enemy. That enemy, of course, was Russia at the time, and this is what Russia looks like today in the outskirts of Moscow. Much closer than Hitler ever got, actually, to Moscow. It's burning. Moscow and Russia are burning for the first time in your lifetime or mine, again, because of total war. What is this total war now? It's a war waged by Ukraine. That is, of course, setting ablaze the Wildberries warehouses. These are the warehouses that are the equivalent of a Russian Amazon.com. Of course, for Amazon.com, you have to have these massive warehouses, and these drone strikes that have been hitting these warehouses that are these huge targets that, of course, have flammable batteries and all sorts of flammable items inside of them. These warehouses are going up in flames all over Russia. It's been totally devastating. And the footage has been crazy. And Ukraine is able to send relatively cheap drones to hit these warehouses and do immense damage. It's major psychological damage, too, by bringing the battle to them in total war, saying, hey, there's really nothing off limits. Now, Ukraine's saying that these logistics centers are being used to ship bombs and armaments and munitions into the front lines and kill Ukrainians. Therefore, it's not like bombing an orphanage. It's not like bombing a hospital. This is a utility for the Russian military. That's their explanation for why they're doing this. And no one's really arguing with them. But now Russia is applying that same strategy to their bombing or I guess, ability to sabotage European industry. Because Ukraine doesn't make, the vast majority of their weapons are not made in Ukraine. The vast majority of these weapons are shipped from America to Ukraine or from their European allies to Ukraine. And so now you're beginning to see very large explosions in Europe. Yo, look at that. Where is this? What far-flung part of the war-ravaged world is this? Well, it's Rome, actually. This is in Italy. Yo. Massive explosion tears through ammunition plant in Rome, owned by a Franco-German defense giant, KNDS, major supplier of weapon systems to Ukraine. Oh, no. Let's go ahead and watch this with the sound on. Cazzo. Telling you. The war is going to come to Europe. It's going to get out of control. Large explosion rips through Italian munitions factory. Powerful explosion ripped through the munitions factory near the town of Colleferro, southeast of Rome, on Thursday, with the blast heard kilometers around. The explosion occurred when firefighters and police were already at the site, responding to the local media. Oh, no. So there might have been, they already had first responders there. Ugh. No injuries were reported, thank God, but who knows, with these kind of things. It's all wartime propaganda. The plant is operated by a German defense group, Franco-German defense group, a subsidiary of the group. It would have been a tragedy if the blast had not happened during the summer holiday when the plant was closed. The circumstances surrounding the incident are being investigated and assessed by the team. plant makes medium to large caliber ammunition for land and naval defenses. And the company is contracting with the EU, and the EU is, of course, sending munitions to Ukraine. A large explosion. The blast occurred. Large caliber ammunition, solid rocket fuels. Here's where that plant is, right there. You can see. And you can zoom out. So now there's a Rome. It's really not that far away from Rome at all. And you're seeing a lot of this throughout Europe. To be quite honest, I'm surprised it's taken the Russians this long to sabotage European factories providing arms and munitions to Ukraine. This obviously isn't an accident. And maybe I would have said, oh, yeah, you're going to have to give me more proof. You're going to have to give me more proof than that, right? Like, you're going to have to give me something more. But if you've been paying attention, there is more. A drone bomb at German airport was Russians, U.S. experts says. So this is an update on a story that we covered at the time, that they found this drone with a bomb on it and another drone that slammed into a massive supply vehicle right next to the Ukrainians on a German airbase where a ton of munitions are transferred. So, of course, they're bringing munitions into Ukraine. U.S. intelligence believes Russia was behind a drone bomb attack on a major German airport last week. The explosive-laden drone was discovered near a Ukrainian cargo plane in Leipzig, one of Europe's biggest freight hubs, key transit for military supplies. American intelligence agencies have now assessed that Russian Secret Service were likely behind the attack. U.S. reported, although German authorities have yet to publicly name a culprit. Investigators have reportedly found DNA on the drone matching a sample recovered of a suspected Russian sabotage attack at the same airport 2 years ago. And the incendiary device was hidden inside of a parcel that caught fire. The package was due to travel on a cargo plane and was delayed, narrowly avoiding the possibility of the device igniting mid-air. Goodness. 5 men were, prosecutors alleged, they were recruited by Russian intelligence. So this is, I mean, come on, man. Like you could figure out what's going on here. You can actually see in some of these photos the drone itself and the bombs that it was strapped with. It was strapped with a ton of C4. And so now you're looking at, right, a totally different threat. And what is this threat? The attacking of the logistics that keeps Ukraine running. This is the airport right here. And then NATO scrambles warplanes as Russian attack on Ukraine lands in Poland, which is, of course, a EU nation. So Russia attacking Poland is clearly I guess you could say it's a mistake. Maybe it's a warning. I'm not sure. You can see here a big explosion. It happened here, thank God, in a relatively rural area of Poland. But this area is not too far, just like the other explosion is not too far outside of Rome. This area is not too far outside of a large town here, where you could kill hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, if it landed in this town. It's a well-populated Polish town. You kill a bunch of Polish. First time in 70 years that Russia is now bombing Poland again. And so you can see how these things can spiral out of control very, very quickly. It's why we are begging for peace, please. Begging for peace. I love the Alaska agreement that Trump had. I like the MOU. I like getting out of these wars. It's something that MAGA promised. It's something that America First promised. It's something that I know is easier said than done. Something that needs to be the priority. These wars are unpopular, and you can see them, whether it's Iran or Ukraine or who knows what's next, Taiwan. You can see this stuff is spiraling out of control and how it could truly bring a larger world war, just like the conditions for like a much larger world war. Does anybody want that? No, we don't want that. The destroyer of empires, ladies and gentlemen, and peoples. So let's not do that. Okay? Pray for peace. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, subscribe.